everybody. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Beat the Odds. It's Bassem Khalaf here. We are headed into Week 9 of the NFL season. I did want to do a power rankings video for this week. However, I did notice that all of the 5 teams on my top 5 are the same as last week. The only thing that happened was some teams got flipped around. I did move the Buccaneers up a couple spots because of the addition of Antonio Brown. Also, they did beat the Giants. I know it's not impressive being a lackluster team like the Giants, and they barely won that game, but it's enough to get the job done to move them up a couple spots. So what do I want to talk about today? Well, let's go ahead and start with my 49ers. You guys see, got my full support on. They do play the Green Bay Packers tonight, and a lot of people on the radio, a lot of people, national news, saying that this game is going to be one-sided towards the Packers, and I completely agree with that. Could the 49ers pull off a win? Sure. When you have a coach of Kyle Shanahan's caliber, a guy who can manage the game in many different ways, I think you always have a chance of winning the ball game. But when you look at their injuries right now, I truly believe this has to be one of the worst injury-riddled seasons of all time. I mean, when you look at their roster from up and down the list, and you compare it to the roster they had last year's NFC Championship against the Green Bay Packers, completely new squad. No player that started on the offensive side of that last year's game is playing in tonight's game, and that just blows my mind right there. Let's start off with Jimmy Garoppolo. We know what was at stake this year for him. They really wanted him to have that leap year to prove that he could win you ball games if you needed him to, but dealt with that injury really early on against the New York Jets. We saw the 49ers try to rush him back. Maybe it was his decision as well because he knows his job might be on the line. He tried to come back, but it just did not look right. He was not even putting pressure on that right foot. It was just completely rushed, and now we see what happens. He's out for another maybe 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how his injury progresses. So do I see Jimmy Garoppolo in the 49ers long-term plan? I highly doubt it. I think they are going to try to move from him next year. I don't know if they're going to keep Nick Mullins and maybe give him like a one-year rental type situation where they keep him around, see if they can work with him, see if he shines, and possibly you don't have to go out there and draft a quarterback. Maybe he is the right fit. Maybe you pick up a guy like Sam Darnold's a name I've been hearing a lot when it comes to the 49ers. So I don't see Jimmy Garoppolo staying with the 49ers much longer. The contract situation is really tough because they still do owe him a lot of money. So we'll see how that goes. But it's very unfortunate how this season has gone for the Niners. I think you can't hang your hat on it if you are them. Just move on. I think you just play it game by game, see how the season finishes out. You come back with the same coaching staff, same GM, same everything, and run it back because you still have that championship mindset. You still know that you could compete at the highest level with the rest of the league as long as you have your system at hand, which I think the 49ers are going to keep for a really long time since they did sign Kyle Shanahan for a 5-year plan. So this week we finally get to see Antonio Brown on an NFL roster. It's been about a year or two since we really got to see him in action. He did get that little 1 or 2 game stint with the Patriots, but that was cut short because of all the legal issues that surrounded his name. It's great to see him back. He is going to have Tom Brady as his quarterback once again. That's got to be exciting for him. Look at that roster they have put together now. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, Scotty Miller, Leonard Fournette, Jones II. I mean, on paper, this has to be the best offense in the league. I mean, when you look up and down that roster, just weapons everywhere for Tom Brady to target. And then on the defensive end, we all know what they bring to the table. That rush defense is like nothing else in the league. I really think Antonio Brown can find his home here in Tampa Bay. If he can put together a solid 8-game stretch as the season winds down, I think he could be back here next year. I don't see him going anywhere because of how well he can fit with Tom Brady. I mean, in that one game he played with the Patriots last year, he did get a touchdown. So it's not like chemistry is going to be any issue. It really seems like Tom Brady wants to have this guy in his team because he's went out of his way constantly to try to get him. I think he really believes in him. He really wants to help him out. I heard rumors that Antonio Brown was staying at Tom Brady's house. So, anytime you do that for somebody, you really care about him. We know what Tom Brady means to every organization he's played, even though Tampa Bay is only his second. I'm sure they're going to listen to him if he says, look, I want Antonio Brown. I want to give him a chance. And I think that is the case here. This team is going to be really dangerous moving forward. I could see them finishing on top of the NFC. We'll see how the season progresses. Hopefully they can avoid any injuries, but this team looks legit. I'm really excited to watch them play the rest of the season. Let's see how many snaps Antonio Brown gets the first game. We are pretty damn sure that he is going to put up solid numbers as Tom Brady's his quarterback. So let's go Bucks, man. Let's see what they got. And let's see what Tom Brady can do with Antonio Brown back on his roster. So one of the teams that went up in my power rankings this week was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why? Because of the performance against the reigning MVP in Lamar Jackson. He really struggled in that game, did throw for 2 interceptions. I want to take you guys through his stat projections for the rest of this season compared to last year. This year he is throwing at a 60% clip, which last year he threw at a 66. So you can see that 6-point differential, which is a pretty high number if you think about his percentage compared to last season. His yard projection is going to finish around 2,700. Last year he did throw for around 3,300 yards, which is not too bad for a quarterback. But when you get under 3,000, you really start to think, what else can this guy do? We obviously know Lamar Jackson can run the hell out of the ball. But the one stat that really blows my mind is he threw for 36 touchdowns last year. This year, he might finish around 24, 25. I mean, when you look at that difference, I think you have to look at the weapons around him. Look at Willie Snead is his number one target. You really can't do much with a guy like Willie Snead as your number one target. He needs to get more weapons around him. I'm really surprised they didn't pull the trigger in the trade deadline. A lot of teams didn't. I think Baltimore was one of the teams that I was hoping would help Lamar Jackson get some more weapons around him, because when he is forced to play as a pocket quarterback, that's when he tends to struggle. I think that the offseason really gave a lot of teams time to think about a guy like Lamar Jackson, who tends to do that the option play where either you run it or pass it, and if you can somehow contain him and make him throw the ball, he's going to really struggle, and we've seen it this year. If I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, I would be sweating a little bit, just worried about how his performance will be moving forward this season. But I think in the long term, he will be okay. He's still around 23, 24 years old. He is going to have a lot of time to develop that arm, still be okay. But another stat I want to mention to you guys is his QBR. This year he is at 94. Last year he was at a whopping 113, which is really impressive if you really compare the two. That's about a 20-point difference. So Ravens will be okay. Their quarterback will be okay. It's just a matter of how will they adjust to what teams have adjusted to them. So my game of the week this week is going to be the Dolphins and the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of you guys might be thinking, why are you picking 2 middle-of-the-pack teams to be the game of the week? Well, if you look at the starting quarterbacks, you got Kyler Murray going up against Tua Tagovailoa. I think I pronounced his name right. I don't know. I'll get used to it. But 2 exciting young guys who can throw the hell out of the ball, run the hell out of the ball. And we've seen what Tua did in his first game. Didn't really have the chance to, show off his arm because they had such a big lead early on. They just kind of did a little clock management for the rest of the game. So I really want to see if the Cardinals can put the pressure on them, make him play from behind, see how he can throw the ball. I'm really excited for this ball game. Look, these guys are the future of the league. I think this is a direction that the NFL is headed towards. A lot of smaller guys who can run and throw the ball. A lot of people questioned Russell Wilson when he first came into the league. They're like, is this the guy that can play in today's NFL? A little guy who can sling the hell out of the ball and also run it. And it slowly but surely seems like that's the direction that teams are starting to move towards. And you know what? If you're my 49ers, you might want to consider doing that because it seems to work out for every team in your damn division. Get a quarterback that can run the ball, because nowadays you need that mobility. When I watch Jimmy Garoppolo play, it looks like he can't even leave the pocket without look like he's hurting himself. So this is the direction we're headed towards. That's why I'm so excited for this ball game. I do see the Cardinals having the upper edge just because they've coming off some impressive wins this season. The Dolphins maybe will get a little ahead of themselves because of how well they performed against the Rams last game. So we'll see. A very exciting game. I hope you guys enjoy it. Enjoy all of the NFL Sunday action. There is also UFC on Saturday. Let me know if you guys need any picks. Hit me up on my Twitter again. That's BeatTheOdds365. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later on next week. Take care, guys.